Last time, we saw that Ishan's mother tricked him and made him a girl named Ishaka and sent him to her ex-boyfriend. But Gautam came out to be a kind guy. But what was in Gautam's mind to bring him in this situation? What will happen to Ishan now? Let's the story continues. The next day, I woke up early, and quickly dressed myself in a casual grey top and blue jeans, and to my wonder female jeans felt much better than the ones I always wore. I didn't want to wear innerwear that day as it really used to bother me back then. I did my makeup after seeing a few videos and got all ready to find Gautam still asleep. That's when I thought about what happened last night, so I quickly left the room and started making the breakfast for him. And while I was preparing, suddenly he came and saw me, and we both had an awkward encounter, and I realized that he remembered what happened last night. So, I took care of the situation and greeted him, and we both shared little talk about how good I am getting at this. And then I asked Gautam about yesterday, why he came drunk last night, and he said it's time we talk. So he decided we should go somewhere we can really talk. He took me to the Janos Hill, and I was really troubled by the fact that despite wearing trainers today, I couldn't really climb mountains easily, but it was worth the scenery. When we reached the top, it was so beautiful. Gautam set a tent, and I was shocked when he said that we will spend the rest of day here and will go back tomorrow. And then he thanked me for the effort I am putting in everything, and we really shared a moment. And then Gautam said we should save some memories, and then he asked me to pose in different locations, but suddenly started laughing, and I wondered why. When I asked him, he said my are erect, and I got really embarrassed again. And he said, they are only hard like this when it's really cold, or the girl is really and it isn't cold here. He laughed and went into the tent. After setting us up a fire, we both talked for some time. Then he said, I have lung cancer. And I'm gonna die in some weeks probably, but I wanted to remember the trip where your mother and I met first. It was here in Budapest. She was just like you, and we just got off along. Last night I was drunk because being with you really took me back. Because I realized again, how will I lose you just like I did lose her. When I asked why did he lose her, he replied, well, I will tell you that on the last day. But just a spoiler, whatever we have been doing is what your mother and I did 25 years ago here, and the next 4 days will be the same. So please just be like this. And he got up and went to sleep in the tent, and I followed him and slept just in front of him, wondering what happened next. The next day we both got up, and things were really good between us by now. And when we were in the car, that's when I asked him, so what you and my mom did on the 4th day? He smiled at me and said, well, we took a detour from our planned trip and went shopping. He laughed. I said, so we are going shopping today? I said in a scared tone, as the idea of actually buying girlish clothes for myself was really weird. But I was quickly brought back. Well, you clearly need a bra. He laughed, but I was done with his witty comments and replied, I also clearly need new innerwears too. And he was startled by it and laughed after some time, just like your mom, and drove while I looked at him like I have never ever looked at anyone before. He took me to the biggest shopping mall of Budapest, and I was so confused to see from where shall I start. I went to store and he asked me to first go for the dresses, and I nodded in approval. It was just a little nervousness that was holding me back. Before long I was so immersed in shopping and seeing what will really be good for me that I was shopping like a little girl. And before I realized that I had spent thousands on this clothes. And was so embarrassed when I found Gautam laughing about how immersed I was in my new favorite hobby. I said, okay, that's all, and Gautam grabbed me and whispered, well, you forgot the undies, lady, and took me to a lingerie store. I chose a pure red silk baby doll with lace all over it, and went in the last dressing room with Gautam waiting for me outside. I stripped down and saw my reflection in the mirror and wondered what am I doing, but the feel of the silk in my hand was too hard to resist and I wore the innerwear quickly, but the innerwear strap was really annoying and I said, "How do you expect to wear this?" while struggling, and I quickly heard a voice behind me, "Need some help?" It was Gautam and I realized that I forgot to lock the door. I should have been pushing him out, but I smiled and bit my lips. And he pushed me further and strapped me up. Your mother was also kinda shy, but she enjoyed this as much as you. I was quiet, but he could see how hot I was at that moment, and suddenly I felt his body against mine from the back. Gautam's hand grazed down from my back to my thing and he grabs it so strongly. I gasped and trembled. I felt weak in the knees, and that's when he lowered my to my ankles, and started moving his finger around mine. It was so intense that I needed support and I quickly put my hands against the mirror and saw myself. I had realized how girlish I had become, but this was the peak of it. I was really enjoying it. Soon the fingers started moving faster and faster, and suddenly I could feel him my back and juggling my thing from behind, and then the magic started, his tongue swirling around me, awakening parts of me I never thought that I had. And I was crying and moaning and enjoying, and soon he stopped, pulled me around and my face out, and even he bit me on the neck, which made me so. He stopped and said, "And you said you were a son," me on the neck, and went out. While I looked myself in the mirror, and not knowing who I had become, I quickly dressed up and went out. And I could see all the people were looking at me and laughing, and I rushed to the car of the embarrassment, and I was really confused about what I was doing. When we reached home, I quickly went to my room and closed the door and went to sleep, but couldn't help thinking about how will I ever shake off this experience. The next day I was really embarrassed and felt like a whore for Gautam, so I stayed in my room for most of the time, until Gautam came and asked me to come out. I dressed up in a white long dress and went out to confront Gautam about what happened yesterday, but I was shocked to see some strange men sitting in the living room. Before I could say anything, Gautam stood up and said, "Everyone meet Ishika, my girlfriend. Now I know she is a lot younger than me, but love knows no age, right?" I smiled back and everyone agreed with Gautam, and he said, "Ishika, these are all my business partners. I thought we all should know each other. You never know when you want help with someone you know." For the whole day we were with all his partners and I was the only girl in between the many men, and I was feeling uncomfortable as some of them were even giving me pervy looks, and I could hear whispers about how I am this young whore who is just here for the money, and that made me really sad. Perhaps the biggest shock of the day was when Gautam asked me to present the new business ideas I made, and I was so confused and shocked, but then he gave me the go-ahead and I started speaking from the text he had given me, and everyone was really impressed with me taking the charge, and I was really happy. It was the first time this week that I really felt like a powerful woman. When we got home, he told me that it was time for the last thing we will do tomorrow and thanked me for the week he had with me, and went in his room without saying anything else. I was really worried and curious about what was gonna happen tomorrow, but the feeling of this week getting over was also really sad for me, as it was the best time I had ever experienced. So I went in my room and felt really sad and even cried a little, but I was ready for anything that was about to come my way. As the week about to end, why was Ishan or Ishika feeling bad about? What is Gautam holding back in his mind? What happened on the last day, 25 years ago, on the relation between Gautam and Ishan's mother? All the answer lies on the next and final chapter of this series. So stay tuned to the upcoming parts of this series and also like, share and subscribe to my channel to read awesome story like this.